Hello, hello, everybody. We're going to give it another minute or so to let some people get on, and then we're going to get started right away with the training today. So I have a lot of great information to share with you guys. I want to give you a heads up and just remind you that you've got the chat box to put your questions. You've got the Q&A to put your questions. And, I'm not opposed to answering questions individually. So if you're struggling with anything in your own particular business or maybe your method, or anything like that, type it out. I'm happy to walk you through what you might need to do to change some things up a little bit. So we're going to do the questions and everything at the end because we've got a lot of content that may answer your questions as we go along. But anybody who does not know me, I'm Carmen Hunter. I am the founder of the Institute for Functional Health Coaching, and I have been a health coach for almost 8 years. I still health coach. I do have clients. I'm actually putting everybody on hold till the new year. I'm trying to catch up and get everything done for the year, but I am still actively involved in helping people with their health, not only friends and family, but I do take on clients as well. So I'm still in there with you guys, not as deeply entrenched as I used to be, but still very active. So I'm going to take a moment and just check my sound. So let me stop my video real quick, and I'm going to check everything. All right, looks like everything's working well. So while I'm teaching, I'm going to stop the video so there's no distractions. We're going to roll through a slide deck, and we're going to get started talking about, what I think is a really big topic today. As far as what I'm reading on the boards, I'm seeing a lot of people out there talking about, people being taken advantage of and that people aren't taking them seriously, that this is a real job that they do. And I'm going to give you some tools today to help you maybe help shift their mindset, maybe help you shift yours. And again, we'll take questions at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my video. And I'd like to check in the chat if someone could give me a heads up. Hi, Aubrey. Great. Sound is good. I was cutting out at the beginning. Okay, perfect. Yeah, everything is stable. Hi, Robin. So I'm going to share my screen, and Wally. Hey, guys. And you know what? Tell me while we're going along, when I'm training, I want you guys to tell me, first of all, how long you've been a health coach. How's your business going? Do you have clients? Is this something that you stumble over? Is the free part, like when people talk to you out in public, like what are your struggles? Go ahead and chat amongst yourself in the chat area so I can take a look at what's going on. It helps me to learn more about you as well. So Aubrey, since you were my first commenter, I want you to tell me when you see my screen, and then we'll get started. Just give me a yep, we're good. And when I see you light up there, then we will start rolling. Everything looks good? Okay. I see Sherry saying good, so I guess we can see it. So, all right, let's roll. Let me see here. Let's get the play button going. And again, questions or anything you guys have concerns about, put it in the chat, put it in the Q&A. I'm happy to answer questions. Seems like we've got, give me just a second here. I want to make sure that I can move this window out of the way. Give me a second. We've got a little bit of a cursor problem here, you guys. Hold on a second. Let me move this. But I don't want you guys staring at that box the whole time. So here we go. All right, sorry about that. Okay, let's get started. So, I called this How to Turn Free Consultations into Paying Clients for a reason, and stop being a health coach hobbyist, because, I've been a health coach for over 6 years, almost 8 actually this coming June. I say over 6 years because I did most of my work the first year and a half or so was really learning what in the heck was, this business was all about. I was wanting to know, where do I find people? How do I tell people that I'm more than just a personal trainer? Because that's what I was at the time. I was a personal trainer, and I had years and years of study, but I was moving into this space where I really wanted to talk more about the other pieces of health that went way beyond movement. And I was, people were starting to contact me a lot, calls. This was before I had Facebook active on there about talking about what I did. Sometimes the neighbors would stop by and say, I hear that you help people with their health. I've been stopped in the street walking my dogs. And it was seen as something that I loved to do, but it wasn't really seen as a business. And when I realized I could turn this into a business was when the calls, the emails, the texts, and everything just got more and more. And I started feeling just like a little bit not taken advantage of, but started feeling like there's got to be a better way to help more people and reach more people. So I think it was probably June when I took my first client. So June of next year will be my 8-year mark of really kind of calling myself a health coach. And I really have a mission to help health coaches, move past this being seen as it being a hobby and not being taken seriously. So again, I'm Carmen Hunter. I'm the founder of the Institute for Functional Health Coaching. Someone asked me today, actually, if I was still working with clients, and I said yes. And they said, I'd really love to know your story. Well, the Institute for Functional Health Coaching is my health coaching story. Every little bit of information that is in the Institute, the lessons, the videos, the webinars, the trainings, are all really chronicling the pain that I went through in building a business and offering solutions to health coaches. So it shows you how many mistakes I made. It shows you what I weeded out and didn't need, and what I shouldn't have wasted time and money on. I talk about how I found clients online and in person. So, the whole the Institute is my story. But I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So just a reminder, you guys, everything you're learning is educational. It says 6 years. This is an old reminder. Some of these slides are back from about a year and a half ago when I really started talking about this. And we're still talking about it today because it's important. And there's a lot of people that are not able to overcome this thought process that this is something they should get paid for. So nothing I share with you is to be taken as prescriptive. All of my terms and conditions are at carmenhunterhealth.com. If you want to learn more about the disclaimers and so on, please visit out there. But let's get started with what we're going to learn today. So we're going to talk about how to deal with the brain pickers. We're going to talk about what they are. We're going to talk about when and where to do a free consultation, what not to do in your free consultation, some mistakes that everyone makes, and I made them too, how to do your free consultation in 20 minutes or less, what happens after you do that free consultation. It's another big question coaches are asking, what do I do now? And the steps to actually signing on a client. So let's talk a little bit about the brain pickers first. I first heard that term. I think it was Marie Forleo that had done a video about this. The people that, they want help with something, whether it's health or business or whatever, but they're the people that feel totally comfortable with asking you for help and not expecting to pay you for what you know, right? And I know you guys have encountered these people before, maybe at a party, mom's day out, maybe a business after hours type of thing. Maybe you've been introduced as a health coach, and now people all they can hear is like, oh, I know that she can help me or he can help me by friends and family, but they don't realize that this is your business. So the next thing you know, you could be at a party and you tell someone you're a health coach and they say, oh, well, let me ask you a quick question. That's the famous question that I used to get all the time. Let me ask you a quick question about, and then they'll name a health condition or a health problem. And as you guys know, there's nothing quick about answering a health problem. Even something like, well, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. What's your first tip about, not having to go on insulin? And you're like, oh my gosh, like there's way too many. It's not just one. We've got brain pickers that are friends. We've got brain pickers that are distant relatives, distant friends, social media contacts that know us through our close friends and friends of friends. Okay. Brain pickers, as you can see, can be anyone. So when is it a problem when someone's asking you questions? Like, it's okay for someone to ask, like, what do you think about this? Or are you all about the keto diet or whatever? But it's a problem when they're asking us medical questions without a client agreement or a waiver in place, right? It's a problem if you're spending way too much going back and forth, whether it's email, personal messages on social media. Maybe someone got your number and they think it's okay to start texting you questions. It's a problem if you feel bitter or irritated about the fact that people are constantly getting in touch with you. If you're not making money doing what you love, it is a problem. So, just remember that answering medical questions goes really beyond what we should be doing in our business, not to mention for free, what kind of risk that puts us at risk for. So let's talk about how to handle some of these things. How can we move past, the brain pickers and be able to honor ourselves in our business at the same time? So you can direct people to your website when they ask a question. It's always kind of my default way of honoring the question, but also letting them know, this is a business. I actually have a website. It's what I do for a living. So another thing you can do is ask for a more direct question. So asking them something like, do you have your labs done? And if they say, oh, yes, then you say, okay, well, what I would do is I would go back to my doctor and I would this. So you're redirecting them back to a practitioner or physician if they are working with someone on a medical diagnosis or a problem. You can talk about your client agreements and just say to them, I really can't discuss these types of things without a client agreement because there's so much that goes into answering questions about health. You can hand them a business card or a postcard or something that they can have in their hand that lets them know this is a real business. You can actually set up a pro bono offering. And what that means is you can do something like offer, help for free or offer on social media, or on your website, I'm sorry, on Facebook or something, in a note that says, I am looking for someone to help for free. All that I require is a testimonial afterwards. But you're letting people know when they're asking questions that, you know, you do offer help for people. You do like to give because it's part of what we do. And pro bono work is not a bad idea, but you've got to remember to keep it under control. Make sure that they use the same agreements and intake forms as any paid client. But that kind of puts the word out there like, hey, you know, I love to help people for free, but I do have a business, and it kind of puts the word out there. So when people start seeing that you offer that so-called, air quote here, pro bono offering, then they know that you do have a paid services offering for people as well. You know, the old saying that people don't like to pay for things, I mean, people don't value things that they don't pay for, really was never a big issue for me, because most of the time when I was helping these people, they were at the point of desperation. They were ready to do anything. And the testimonials and the referrals I got from them, you know, more than made up for the income that I could have made from the one or two that I was always keeping in my pocket and always working with. So if you think it's a bad idea to work with people for free, just remember you can treat them as if they are a paying client. And it adds more value to it, and it lets them know, listen, I take this seriously. You will be treated just like a regular client, okay? And that kind of sets the precedence for them to take this relationship with you seriously. So don't feel badly, because you do deserve to get paid for what you know. You know, if you're one of those people like me who wishes you could help everyone, I understand that feeling, but you've also got to value yourself as well. I mean, you spent time, you spent money on your education, and even if your knowledge just comes from the amount of time that you've spent out there learning on your own, it's still time and it's still valuable. So I really encourage you not to feel badly about being paid for the gifts that you're offering to this world. Now, if you're having a hard time overcoming this hurdle, and a lot of coaches are, you're not alone, you may need to do some work on receiving, like the gift of receiving. A lot of coaches find it, they have a hard time with receiving because they got into the business to give. I mean, that's kind of how I felt too. I'm like, but I want to help you. Like, I built my whole business at the very beginning around what my clients needed. And I really forgot about the part that I needed for myself. So being a giver in real life and in everyday activities can be a challenge for some of us, but it is important to think outside of that, and just remember that money is energy. So I'm going to share a little statement here from the Chopra Center that may help you with this little mindset issue, that the universe really operates through dynamic exchange. So giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe, and that has to do with money too. I really believe that if we don't give ourselves permission to receive, we can shut down the abundance we're really trying to offer to other people. So, you know, we want the best health for our loved ones and our clients and our friends and family, but wanting the best for ourselves is also a part of being able to receive and feeling able to receive. So not trying to get too hokey here, you guys, but check in with yourself if you feel like this could possibly be a barrier for you. So we're going to talk about the free consultation, and put it in the chat if that's something that you struggle with, like taking money or getting paid for the things that you love to do, or something like that. Put it in the chat and let's talk about it. You know, when we're done with this, when we're done with the slide deck training, we can talk about that and we'll help you move through that if that's an issue. So the free consultation, I'm sure many of you have heard about this. You know, it should be an hour-long discovery or a health history, or, you know, you should meet with someone and see if you're a good fit, tell them who you are, all that stuff. I don't believe in that, because I started doing things that way, and it was a time sucker. It literally just felt defeating when I would walk away from an hour and a half of talking to someone, 3 total hours of my day, and then I'd never hear from them again, you know, because they got everything they needed from me at the front end. So, you know, we're going to get to how to go about doing this free consultation. When do you do it? So I think scheduling specific days and times just for free consultations and clients can be very helpful when you're building this business. So it can be tempting to say, oh, I take free consultations every day. You know, the one thing that we have to remember is that it can be a sidetracker. So if you're in the middle of creating content, or you are working on a webinar, or you're trying to create something for clients that you are working with right then, and then you hop in to do a free consultation, it can take longer if you're not really skilled at keeping it short. It can disrupt your day. It can throw you off. So having days, and we're going to talk about scheduling too, where you just have areas blocked out when you do those free consultations, can be very helpful to keep you on track. And, you know, you can use Calendly or online scheduling services and things like that. But, you know, pick those specific days when you're going to dedicate that time to those free calls and sessions. The other days, work on building your business. So an example might be, I used to work with my clients on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then, I switched things to Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like I moved things around to fit the amount of business I had coming in. And then I eventually stopped taking clients at all on Fridays and left that as a personal day so that I could be more efficient with my business during my business hours. So it really streamlined things for me. And so it's something to think about. When we set a schedule for ourselves, it's kind of like we're due at work, right? It can help you to stay on track. So 15 minutes is really, truly all it takes, you guys. And, 20 minutes is probably a topper. You do not have to spend an hour of your time getting to know someone. That is what the client relationship is for. Now, there's going to be people that have questions about their own health when you're on these free consultations. They're genuinely just, going to get on the phone and hope that you're going to give them some information, and they may not be interested in hiring you at all. But there are going to be those people, and the majority of them are genuinely interested in hiring you. So just remember, when you're on that free consultation, it is all about active listening. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about if you're out in public and someone stops you and says, oh, hey, are you a friend of so-and-so? I hear that you're a health coach. And they're asking you for information. You can say to them, here's a business card or a postcard or whatever your information you keep your business information on. Always keep something with you if you can when you're out in public. You can hand them that and say, I like to get on a free consultation call with people so that I can really find out what's going on with them. So be sure to send me an email or check out my online scheduling program, and let's get you in on a call. Now, if someone's messaging you online or inquiring on a group page about their health condition or their issue, this is really simple. You can simply say to them, one simple message on Facebook or social media or in a message is not going to be enough to answer in-depth questions about health. So I do offer a free consultation, and you can sign up and you can give them your website URL. You can give them your email. You can give them your scheduling link. However you want to do it. You can call it a discovery session. You can call it a free consultation, whatever you want to call it. But here's also a tip, you guys. When you are talking to people about this particular part of your services, you can put in there, I offer a free 15 to 20 minutes phone call. So that lets them know ahead of time, straight up. This has a time cap, letting them know that, we're going to take about 20 minutes to have this conversation and we're going to wrap it up. But if you say, I do a free session, they might start to think that there's more to it and that they're going to get more time with you. So saying that 15, 20 minutes in your conversation, writing it in your social media responses, putting it in your messages, gives them the heads up, you know what, it's a 15 to 20 minute call. So they're probably going to try to make the best out of that time. And we're going to talk about active listening in just a minute. But I want to talk about why I only do a phone call. Why, when you've been told to go do meet and greets or go to a coffee shop or, meet someone for breakfast to get to know them or something like that, I don't think it's a great idea because of the amount of time. And I'm going to talk about that in a second here, but the amount of time it takes even to log on into a Skype meeting or a Zoom meeting, get face-to-face, then you've got your technology. When you're on a phone call, you're simply keeping it a little bit less personal. And I don't mean it should be an impersonal conversation, but I'm saying when you get face-to-face with someone, whether it's in person or an online discussion, that's a more personal thing. You're looking into their eyes. You're having that conversation face-to-face. And while it sounds like a great idea because you think, oh, they're going to see how interested I am and how helpful I am, it's also going to be a way to kind of trap you into more information, more details, more help for the time that you're spending with them. So a phone conversation keeps it just a little bit less personal. You're able to, make some sounds and let them know you're listening and so on and so forth. We're going to go through how to do that in a second, but it also gives you that ability to kind of to wrap it up a little bit quicker as well. So let's break this down just a little bit. When you go to a meeting place, basically for women, obviously it's going to take a little longer, but you're taking the time to get ready, right? An average amount of time, 30 to 45 minutes to get so-called presentable, do your makeup, do your hair, load your files, get your computer if you take it, anything that you want to take with you, maybe you're a free little gift of some sort or whatever, just to entice them to work with you. You've got driving time, anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes or more, depending on where you live. Then there's your meeting time. There's no way you're going to sit down across from somebody for 15 minutes in a meeting place at a coffee shop. There's just no way. If someone is great at doing this, I'd love to see it happen. But I know me, and I know that I'm that person that's going to sit across from someone and say, oh, what are you drinking? Oh, that's my favorite too. Or do you come here a lot? Is this your favorite coffee shop in town? Or, you know, oh, you have a daughter and she's sitting over there, or whatever it may be. There's going to be distractions. Okay. So that's one of the biggest reasons I'm against it. It's distractible. It's time consuming. It turns a free advice session into a free for all. Then you turn around and you go home 15 to 40 minutes. So you can add that timing up and you can determine whether or not that's going to be an efficient way to run your business, right? All right. So again, what I meant by less personal, I just want to push this home because I don't want anyone to think that I'm an impersonal coach. It's one of the reasons people have come to me in the past is because I am a very personable person. But, you know, people are looking for someone that's not in a stiff doctor's coat and telling them what pills to take and stuff like that. And we know that they need more. So when you get face-to-face, that's what they're going to start expecting. When you get on that phone, it's going to be personal, but it's going to be easier, okay? So just keep in mind, you guys, when it comes to giving out your phone number and things like that, I like to get the phone number that they want to be called at in the scheduling. So if someone sends me an email, I'd like to set up a free consultation, I'll write, you know, if I don't do it online in Calendly, I'll shoot back, I have Tuesday and Friday open at this time. Please send me your phone number. But I never give my phone number out on the front end of things. All right, so the process, you know, now that you know kind of the whys, why I do things this way on the phone, let's talk about the how. So let's say you were contacted by someone, they want more information about your services. Let's talk about, first of all, what to avoid and what comes next. So don't ask them when they want to meet. Give them your options via email or in your scheduling link so you have it in writing, and send them that appointment link, okay? You are building this business for you. Yes, you want to be available for them, and we're going to give them some options. But keeping in mind when you are doing this, we are doing this efficiently, and we want to be effective because we're building a business that we love, not a business that we feel chained to. Again, we've already talked about avoid meeting in person. I do not like to send fees and services ahead of time. And I'll tell you why in just a moment, but I also don't like listing prices online. So I like to get that personal conversation going before I talk about fees and services and prices. I like to let them to get to know me just a little bit, hear that I'm interested in what they're saying, hear that I know what I'm talking about before I send fees and services. It can really actually throw people off to see a price. So for example, and I'll show you mine here shortly, but you know, my price at one point was $275 for a 1-hour session and 1 month of support on email. If I had listed that out on my website and someone saw that price and didn't know me or have a chance to get a conversation with me, they might be turned off and think that that's too much. So before we turn them off, we want to give them a chance to have a conversation with me, right? Or with you to get to know you a little bit. Now, prices that can be put online, of course, are your things like, I don't know, your ebooks or things that you sell online that people would be automatically downloading, your passive income types of things, maybe your programs or courses. But personal sessions, I think, need to be taught. You need to have that conversation first before you bring the prices and fees and services into the conversation. So let's recap real quick. They've contacted you for a free session. You've sent them, I like to send 2 times, or I like to send them a scheduling link. So I like to do a lot of my scheduling by myself through email because it helps me to keep my finger on my schedule. But if I'm using a Calendly link or Acuity or something like that, which I'm going to give you a list in just a moment of your options, then they can choose whatever they want. But I always make sure I block those days out that I talked about earlier. So if I'm only doing free consultations on Mondays and Wednesdays, then my Calendly should reflect that. But also, if you are writing things in your calendar, or you have like Google Docs or Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar, make sure everything syncs together so you're not crossing over your appointments and you don't miss anything, okay? So once they have chosen those times by email or on your schedule, they have confirmed through either your scheduling link or your email with their preference and their phone number, okay? All right, so here's a couple of your scheduling options, and some of you are probably already using these. You've got Calendly, BookFresh, Capterra, Acuity, and then of course we also have Practice Better, which is that new platform that's out there really making waves for health coaches that includes the scheduling option within it. So Practice Better is something I think everyone should be looking at, and I will be sending out a link for Practice Better in the replay here if you guys are interested in looking into it. Or you can also use the good old-fashioned pen and paper and self-scheduling, and that's me. Everybody that really knows me knows I'm kind of old-fashioned like that, but I enjoy the feel of writing things down. It helps me to commit things to memory. So let's talk about the call. And I've already mentioned that I don't give my phone number out for those free consultations. I get their phone number given to me. It just makes me I don't want to start getting texts. Let me ask you a quick question. Oh, by the way, you mentioned this. And then the next thing you know, you've got a dialogue going by text. Okay, so this is the part of the, this is part of the, the free consultation, the 15 minutes enough. Why it's enough, in my opinion, is because you can really find out what's motivating that client to seek your help. You can see if you click. And what I mean by that is there's going to be some people that you cannot get a word in edgewise with. And those people are typically just not ready to be helped by someone else. They are very, very stuck or married to their ways. Again, that goes down to the next bullet line here. Do they sound married to their lifestyle or open to changing their mind about what they believe is healthy for them? So, you're going to learn these things in the conversation in that free 15-minute consultation. Now, not everyone is a potential client. Like I mentioned earlier, some people just think they're going to be able to grab some health information from you and get on their way. Some people are really, truly going to need your help. But once you start having that conversation, they may get a little bit fearful that they've got too much going on or something like that, that you're not going to be able to help them, or maybe they're feeling hopeless or helpless or whatever. And that's where the active listening begins. And that's where you can actually show them, you can say things and show them that and you understand what they're going through and you're there for them and so on, without giving everything away. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But when we're starting the conversation, let's say we get on the phone with someone and, how do you even begin? I would like to say to them, thank you so much for reaching out. So tell me a little bit, let's do some free speaking. Tell me what brought you to me and tell me a little bit about your story. So we've got about 15 or 20 minutes here. And I just want you to tell me, what brought you to health coaching? What made you seek me out? So the next thing you're going to start hearing their story. So they're going to probably fumble a little bit at the front end. They'll be like, oh, there's so much, I don't even know where to begin. You might say something like, well, just start with what your biggest problem is today that you're interested in getting help with. And then they'll start to talk. Or they may say to you, I was just curious, actually. I'd like to know more about health coaching. So, you might tell them then that opens that door for you to kind of say, I'd like to work with people in a whole food lifestyle and so on and so forth, whatever your little so-called elevator speech may be, but really turn it back around and encourage them again to start telling you what brought them to you. So it might look something like this. And this is part of a conversation I had with a client. So I'm the coach, obviously, and there's John. Part of the conversation was going on. He was telling me about himself, and I just responded with something simple like, sounds like you had a couple of big life stressors happening all at once. I'm sorry to hear about your wife. His wife had left him, but I'm glad to know that you feel it was a good decision. Just out of curiosity, can you give me a day in your life when it comes to sleep and food? So you notice here that I'm showing him, it sounds like you had a lot of stress. I understand that. I'm practicing active listening by repeating, something he told me about his wife leaving him. That he felt it was a good decision. But then I turned it back around to have a little bit more of a conversation about sleep and food. And so basically you can kind of see, he likes to go into what he's eating and so on and so forth. As far as sleep goes, I sleep great. And then I ask, all right, so what do you count as great sleep? So these are questions. It's me leading him to tell me more about his story so I can turn around and have that conversation. And so with this particular section, if I remember correctly, I think I turned around and he was telling me what times he went to sleep and so on. And we had some talk about melatonin, a little bit about cortisol and so on, but I didn't tell him how to fix the problem because that is what I wanted the relationship for. That's why I wanted to sign him on as a contracted client. So, how we practice that active listening is by using comments and sounds that show we're engaged, we're interested in what that person is saying. Now with coaching, we tend to give a little too much information when someone starts telling us their story, especially if they ask a question. So let's say John had said to me, well, I go to bed by 11:30, but is that too early or late? Or like, should I be going to bed later or earlier than that? And he's asking me a question. I might turn around and say, it really depends on the person. So give me a little bit more about the night. Tell me a little bit more about how your night goes. So even if they turn around and ask us questions, we can turn around and say, well, that really depends, or I would need more information or something like that. So we don't end up giving away everything for an hour or more. Even if we are just on the phone for a quick conversation, it can truly turn into so much more than that. So if you guys have had this experience, put it in the chat. Let me know how you guys move through these people who just kind of seem to keep asking and taking. I'd be curious to read about that. So asking those short questions and having them go further with the, giving us some more depth to their answer can also tell us, what's going on with this person and are they going to be coachable as well? So let's just keep this in mind. People who say they eat healthy really think they are, okay? So when you may get on the phone with someone, they may say, well, I eat really healthy, but I'm struggling with my weight. Or I sleep really well, I only get up twice a night. Like, you're gonna hear that. They think that they are healthier than they truly are. And so us, knowing as much as we do, about health, we know that there's a deeper story there. So let's just say, let's take whole grain, for example, all right? So everybody who knows me, I'm a big gluten-free liver. I believe everyone should experience with, a gluten-free lifestyle to see if it helps them. But, people will say to me, oh, I eat whole grain all the time. That's what I eat. I don't eat any of that white bread or anything like that. And so, a comment like, oh, wow, okay, so that's a better choice than white bread for sure. But did you know that whole grain bread can spike sugar faster than a Snicker bar? And they're going to be like, what? No way. I mean, like, that's one of the comments that I have heard over and over again about whole grains. And I've turned around and said that to them, and they're like blown away. They're blown away. So, we have to keep in mind, they think they're healthy. We don't want to, knock them down and make them think they're doing something wrong for themselves, you guys. But we do want to let them know, well, there's another side of this, right? There's another belief or another side of this. So people can really be rooted in their thoughts and beliefs, and we can't change them over a free call. It's not possible. So even if you get really excited about sharing things about hormones or sleep or this, and you start to share, they're basically hearing sleep, blah, 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 hormones, scary, blah, 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 blah. And then it's done. Like, you cannot change someone's life in a free call. So remember that. Save all that great information that you guys have for the actual client relationship. All right. Keep in mind that you want to remind them that you're going to meet them where they are, and you're going to help them get to where they want to be. And that will help end that overwhelm. So in the middle of the conversation, sometimes, people are going to have a breakdown. They might be talking about how, they haven't been able to get rid of this 50 pounds for 10 years. No one understands. Their doctor won't change their thyroid medicine. They feel hopeless, and so on and so forth. So really, really important to make space for people to feel able to express their emotions. I think I've probably had like a 70% cry rate on my free consultations, and I'm not kidding. It's almost like when someone gets your ear, and it's not a doctor, and it's not a friend or a spouse or someone like that that's going to make them feel stupid or hopeless. It's you're really, truly interested in how they feel. They just get that open door to a flood of emotion, and it gives them that relief to be able to tell you like how they're really, truly feeling. So if you get someone who starts to cry, it's possible that your call is going to go just a few more minutes, you guys, and that's okay. Or if they get overwhelmed with emotion, just plan on that. Tell them, quietly, just reassure them. It's okay. Take your time. It's okay. You're not alone. And saying things like that, don't try to fix it. Don't try to tell them, oh, you're fine. You're fine. Don't do all of those things that devalues how they feel and what they're sharing with you. Okay. So just sitting there quietly and giving them some reassuring words and letting them know, take a deep breath. It's okay. I've worked with people that have felt the same way as you have, and you're not alone. Many people come to us, as I've just told you a minute ago, when there's no one left to help them. They're completely exhausted. They feel hopeless, and they don't even know. You're kind of their last resort, or the last person that they're coming to. So, sometimes the way you handle this type of situation can make or break a potential client. So please keep that in mind if you ever come across someone that's highly emotional or feeling very overwhelmed. All right, so here's another example here of how I kind of wrapped things up. So, he was going along about his story. I was offering a few things. We were leading back into the conversation about his health, what brought him to me. And I said to him, we're definitely going to address, and this kind of outlines what he said to me: time challenges, digestion, food for energy, how to reduce the stressors that are causing you to wake. Now, I don't talk about stress reduction anymore. I talk about stress perception. This is an old dialogue from clients a couple of years ago. But I kind of outline, like, we're going to talk about all of this stuff. I'm giving him some of that neuro-linguistic programming by saying to him, we will be addressing these things. Then I'm saying, why don't you provide me your best email? I'll send you my fees and services list and the intake form. And the intake form is extensive, and I do encourage you to be thorough and take your time. Please send it back to me by email when you're finished, and we'll set up our first consultation. Will phone or in person work best for you? Now, this was back when I was still going to coffee shops and going to people's houses and meeting them everywhere. So if you're a person that's working locally or in your community, or you're a person that's working online, the dialogue works for either location, okay? And so John then says, you know, that's perfect. That sounds perfect. I'm a very busy person. A phone consultation will be best. I look forward to hearing from you. So this is, you know, the all-inclusive statement about letting them know, you know, we can address multiple complaints and issues that they're having, kind of lets them know, like, I heard everything that you said. I've worked with people that have these problems, even though you're not saying that out loud. You're saying we will address these things. Gives them that, you know, they know that you're confident that you can help them. So really great way to just kind of wrap it up. So you're telling them this is our next step and this is what to expect from me now. Okay. And so then now what, right? This is the part where, you know, a lot of coaches get super excited because they have a free consultation. They've got someone that potentially wants to work for them. They have a really great free consultation. They're excited. They hang up and then they're like, well, what do I do now? Do I just sit here and wait? Well, no, this is where you send your fees and services that we talked about earlier, where I said, you know, I don't like them posted online. This is where you send them to the potential client. In a minute, we're going to take a look at mine and any intake forms that are part of your approach. Now, if you're using Practice Better, obviously, they can fill out the intake form on there. You send them log information there. Wherever you're choosing to do this, I'm giving you the email example because this is how I worked for years. I mean, almost probably 6 years is how I worked this way. So I was that person that I like to have things coming to me so I could open them, see them, and all of that. And I didn't have a platform like Practice Better. So this is really old school, but it worked. It worked perfectly for a very, very busy waitlist practice. So I would ask them in the email when I send the fees and services to them and the intake form, please confirm that you've received everything. And let me and let them know that I'm available for questions by email. So if they have a problem opening something or something like that. This eliminates the request for more free time by phone or anything like that, but also puts it in their hands to let you know, okay, I got everything. All right. So this is just an example of the first page of my old fees and services form. Now it's easy to understand. You can see the service, the cost, and what's included. I don't have to go into great detail about all of these things because once we get started, they're going to know this is what to expect. I talk to them about what they're going to be able to expect from working with me and so on and so forth. I'm also going to show you something at the very end of this training that talks about that part as well. So it's pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't give a whole lot of information, but it helps them to see which piece might work best for you. So a brainstorm session, a wellness consultation, and a 3-month for me were different. And I created the brainstorm session because I had people who did not want to do a super extensive intake form. Some people didn't even want to do an intake form. They just wanted to get on the phone with me. So I threw in a brainstorm session, and that was just kind of a quick recording and of me answering questions, them telling me their biggest problems, and so on. So create your fees and services to fit what you want to do for your business. And then also, what are people asking for from you? What do people need from you? And, you know, we talked about this last week in the train for how to get your 2 to 3 clients, creating polls in your groups, asking people, what are you looking for? And create your business around that. So if you don't have a business right now, or you're just getting started, or you're just, you know, you've been stuck at this free consultation thing forever, do something really basic like this, and then you can change your fees and services later. It's not going to be inconsistent if you change your prices. It's your business. Change it as often as you want to. It doesn't matter, you guys. So it's not like the old corporate days where, you know, you put up a price and it should stay firm and all of that. I mean, I'm sure we all have like cable TV and AT&T and all that. They change their prices every month. So, you know, it's no different for you guys either. If you don't have a fees and services page, this is the absolute first thing that I would do. Action step today. Create this, have it ready. So when that free consultation comes through, you're ready to send that fees and services form after the free consultation. We've already talked about prices on the website. Just reiterating that, you know, if you want to put your prices out there, that's totally up to you, but I think it can be a deterrent. So let's talk about what to expect from working with me. And I'm sharing this twice because it's on the very end of the slide deck training as well here, because I want to go into a little bit more after this, but this is on the back of my fees and services page. I stuck it in here because I didn't want to miss this part. For those of you that know I have a fees and services, this is at the end. And I'm going to go over it in detail at the end, but it's a big, important part of the pre-client relationship. It's a tongue twister for me. And I'm going to go over that in a minute, but let's do some follow-ups, do's and don'ts first. All right. So don't pester them with multiple emails. Do confirm they received everything back. If you don't hear back within 48 hours, maybe send another email and just say, just checking in, want to make sure you got everything. Okay. Don't send them another email asking them if they're ready to sign up. Practice your patience. You know that they're going to sign up if they're ready. You're not going to talk them into it, and we don't want to convince them to work with you. Don't overthink it. Like, don't think too much about it. You send it, they confirmed it, relax and have faith in your approach. And don't think that you are for everyone, okay? Know that the right clients are going to come to you. And I'll talk more about that towards the end here. We just want to know that they received everything. We want to reiterate to them, let me know that if you have any questions about how to open things up or fill out the intake form. And that's kind of programming their minds again, that I plan to work with you. I'll be waiting to hear back from you. Now, I send my intake form, and this is just like a little section of the 22-page form that I use. I send the intake form with the fees and services to save myself a step, but also to let them know, like, I'm ready to work with you, like right now. I'm ready. Once you send this back to me, we can get started. So a little bit about, the intake forms. If you don't have an intake form yet, I highly encourage you to get one, create one, buy mine. I don't care, but it's really important to have it at the front end, because this is going to save you so much time. You're getting that high mileage information at the very front end of the relationship. It is going to save you time when you meet them. It is going to create a more efficient practice. So, just know that when you have these questions ahead of time, anything can be prepared for. So if you're sitting across from someone and they hand you an intake form, you're going to sit across from them and it's going to take you 2 hours just to ask more questions and learn more. And so when are you going to get to the part of helping them? Much later than you would if you had this information right at the front end. So this is just a couple of the things. I learned this early on in my building my business, that asking a person questions or giving them the form across from me or giving it to them and taking it when I'm with them was sucking the life out of time. And I remember the Saturday that a girl, she said, well, I'll meet you at the gym. I was personal training at the time, and I worked at a physical therapy place that had a gym. She brought me her intake form. I told her we were going to do about an hour and a half, and we were there for 4 hours. 4 hours. She had a breakdown, complete emotional meltdown. A lot of the information on the form was just very confusing. I didn't have a chance to look at it ahead of time, and I was like, never again. So I always send the form ahead of time, and it has cut so much time, literally almost an hour off consultations. It has made me much more effective and efficient in my practice. So yes, people do ask me all the time. Coaches ask me all the time, well, golly, why don't people get turned off by a form that's that long? They really don't. I've only had one person ask me about it, and she basically was the one person that said, I should be spending this much time on myself every week. So I would not let that deter you. So the waiting game, here's where you just kind of wait. And as much not fun as that is, it's what you got to do. You just wait to hear back or not. It can take a couple hours. It can take a week. They may try to ask you more questions about health, and that's the brain picking we talked about earlier. If they don't sign up, they weren't ready. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But I want to encourage you not to bother people. Don't ask if they're ready. Don't turn them off like that, because you know what? They may just not be ready in that moment, or maybe an emergency has come up. And if you bother them, they probably won't return to you if you bother them, right? And you don't need to hustle for clients. They're going to come when they're ready. Just, take a no sign as a sign that there's nothing wrong with you, but there's something going on with them. All right. It has nothing to do with you. So simplifying the process, you get your inquiry from someone, you do the pre-consultation, you email the fees and services in the intake form, you confirm receipt if no confirmation comes within 48 hours. Basically, that's it. It's really quite simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to know if their dad had diabetes or their mom had cancer. You don't have to know how tall they are, how much they weigh, or if they have siblings or any of those things. Those are the things you find out when you have a signed on client. That information is useless to you. And it actually opens up that door for liability and risk, because the more information you have at the front end before you have an agreement or a disclaimer signed or something like that, the more you set yourself up for giving away risky information or accidentally leaning into conversation that gives away health advice. Okay. If you guys could see me, you'd see me doing these air quotes over here. So let's just kind of cover a couple of things here. And then I want to get to a bunch of questions, and hopefully you have them and I can help walk you through whatever's going on with you. Reminders and miscellaneous. Let it go if someone doesn't want to work with you. Not everyone is a good candidate to work with you. You're going to have to be able to understand and accept that it is not a personal thing, okay? So if someone doesn't reach back out to work with you, but they confirm they've gotten everything, just let them go out into the universe. There are plenty of people who are ready and who do want to do the work to be a client of yours and who are ready to commit to themselves. someone says no, I take that as a sign of being like, great, they weren't able to, they're not ready to commit to themselves, which relieves me of all the work I would have to do to cheerlead them on to take small action steps to get better with their health, right? Again, don't take it personally. It's not you. And this is with anything in life, but really, truly, when it comes to health coaching, there are some things that can come up when someone has a conversation with a health coach, and a health coach may say to them, let's just say, for example, the potential client says, well, what am I going to have to eat? And I'm going to just act like I'm the coach here. I would say that's really going to depend on what you choose, what choices you decide to make. Well, are you going to make me eat granola? Do I have to go gluten-free? Are you going to make me be vegan? My husband doesn't want me to sign up with you because he thinks you're going to make us eat nothing but vegetables. Then I would turn around and say to them, what I do is I meet people where they are with their food. We look at what their goals and challenges are through their intake form. And then I help them get to where they want to be in a way that doesn't feel stressful to them. So are there going to be some things that you may have to change when it comes to what you're eating? More than likely. But you're going to be able to make those decisions, right? And maybe you don't hear back from that person because through that conversation, they started to feel like, I'm not ready for this. I cannot take this on right now. It's Christmas. I don't know what I was thinking or whatever. It's not about you. Just remember that everyone has a story and you don't know any of it. Okay. You don't know what's going on in their life. Maybe their spouse doesn't even know that they're trying to hire someone. So if you start making this story about you and it's really not, you're just going to sabotage yourself. Just move on and get your doors open for those people that are ready to work with you. So I want you to remember to take your business seriously. So everyone else will too. So treating this like a hobby just kind of lets others know that you're not serious about it, that, people can take advantage of you. They can tap your brain for information. They can pick at you and get everything they want. It sends a message out to the universe and to the people that are out there looking for you that you don't feel like you deserve to be paid and it's not really a job, right? All right. So reconsider taking clients who say you're too expensive, say they can't afford you. How many times have you heard that? Claim they only need help with that one thing. They only want to lose weight and don't care about anything else, or they're married to their lifestyle. So right off the bat, if they start making claims like, oh, well, wow, that's expensive, or I don't know if I can afford this, I need to talk to my husband, and which is fine. We want to encourage them to have conversations with their family members and so on and so forth. But many times when they're saying these things, it can be someone trying to get you to give them a discount, someone trying to say, well, I do offer this or this, and I'll just take 50% off at first, or you can do a payment plan or something like that. I don't want you to start changing your business to suit people because they say they can't afford you or you're too expensive. I also don't want you to question the prices that you put out there because someone says you're too expensive, okay? So here's the thing. There are people out there that are ready to commit to changing their life. And when there's a price tag out there that values what you do, they're going to find you and they're going to pay you for it. Okay. Just keep that in mind. And again, you don't want to have to convince anyone to work with you. They've got to be ready for this. They've got to be ready to commit to themselves. They're not going to hire you just so you can sit there and go, great job. You added water in today. I mean, like, they are the ones that are making these decisions. And so we're there to support them and cheer them on. Yes. But if they think they only need help with one thing and you uncover a multitude of problems, they may not be open to hearing about the other things. And for me as a coach that only, that people have come to lose weight, I've always kind of turned around and said, listen, I can appreciate the fact that you want to lose weight. I understand menopause can be difficult. I understand thyroid problems can be troublesome, et cetera, et cetera. But those things are happening for a reason. You went through menopause because of age or, prematurely or whatever. Your thyroid is slowing down because of, toxic environmental overload or whatever it may be. I like to work on getting to the root of the problem and then seeing what happens, because weight naturally will fall off when the body finds balance. And so we're going to talk about the married to the lifestyle thing in just a second, and that's where we're going to go further about the what to expect from working with me. So, this is a game changer for me. I have to fully tell you that I got to the point where being that person that was getting my brain picked, that person that everyone was coming to and didn't expect to pay, it was wearing me out. I was the bitter and irritated health coach that was like, this is my business. I even could probably search the history on my personal Facebook page where I actually wrote a post that said, I do this for a living. So those of you who are personal messaging me, sending me emails, tagging me in groups, asking me questions for free. Here is the link to schedule an appointment with me. That's the point I got to. And when I got to that point, I decided I was going to be done with all of that. I was going to send that fees and services page to people after a free consultation, but I was going to have this on there as well. So even there's a step right here before they fill out the intake form, they can read that I have a specific goal when I'm working with people. I want them to know what health coaching is. I want them to know what my style is. I want them to know that I'm interested in helping those who are willing to help themselves. So if they're full of excuses or married to that current lifestyle, I'm not the coach for them. I also let them know that my requirements my recommendations might require that they give up certain foods or habits while working with me. So, this is me basically saying to them, I am not your doctor. I am not your decision maker. I'm not your spouse. You are the one that makes decisions for yourself. So the really powerful thing about this, not only did it kind of deter those who were not serious about taking this step, but it also let them know straight up ahead that I am not taking responsibility or liability or risk for the things that they choose to do if they work with me. So as you can see, this is kind of like a mini disclaimer before we even get started. I tell them you should educate yourself fully and communicate all desired changes to your position while working with me. Getting well means making changes that may be uncomfortable for you at first. Listen to your body. Rely only on yourself to decide what's best for you. Take my recommendations as suggestions and not a prescription. And again, another little disclaimer here, I am only an avenue for support and information. If you commit to yourself, instill good quality whole food changes and healthy lifestyle habits, you will see results. There's no promises about curing or healing. There's nothing in here that says, if you work with me, I'm going to heal your gut. I am telling them that if they will make these changes, that they, when they commit to themselves and so on, they're going to see results because they are. I mean, even the person that eats fast food 7 days a week, if they take it out 1 day a week, they're going to start feeling better. So, and then at the bottom, there's a link, learn more about me here. So if they want to link out and, get some more information about me, they can. So basically, that is the gist of the free consultation. Let me get to my last page, because even before I take my screen share off, I just want to say thank you, because when people join training, to me, it's because there's, they're looking for some little nugget. They're looking for something, but it's also your free time. It's your free time that you're spending with me, and I value that. Anytime that I attend a webinar or, I am, in a training or a course or a class, and I feel like I haven't been, like my time hasn't been taken seriously, I always wanted to remember to say thank you to those who do spend their time with me, because it is important. And I know how valuable your time is, especially at this time of the year, you guys. So I am going to exit the screen here. I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to go to your questions, if you have any. Okay. Wow. Okay. You guys are talking. I love this. I love it. Now I save these chats too, you guys. So I go back and look at all this stuff to see what you guys are talking about. Where are you coming from? What have you been doing with your time? How did you get into health coaching and so on? So I'm just going to scroll through here. Hey, Kate, started coaching for free in 2015, recently got strict. Good. And I'm not giving away the store anymore. Awesome. Aubrey says she's launching full-time in 2018, just launching from Joan. Health coach for 2 years, not full-time. Yeah, I mean, you guys, there's a multitude of different coaches out there. We're all different in where we are in our coaching business. Robin is saying, my struggle is in conveying in words what I can do for people, what will motivate them to better their health and well-being. Okay, so this is a great, I'm glad you put this in here, Robin, because this is very common. I'm actually doing a training on how to tell people what you do. It's going to probably be in the new year. I can't fit it in towards the end of the year, but I want to give health coaches some real tools and I really hate the term elevator speech, but that's kind of what it is. And I know there's a new term for it now, but a way for you to explain to people what you do that doesn't take forever, that can be said in a couple of seconds, that people are going to remember, but it's also going to draw people to you. So I'm going to work on that training probably for the first part of January, first or second part. So keep your eyes open for that. But you can't really, the motivate part is kind of a sticky thing though, because you can't really motivate people to make change. They have to find that within themselves. So the way that I try to think about it is this: am I scaring them from what I'm telling them? Am I saying, oh, I do a complete elimination diet with my clients, I give them water for 2 days, or are you scaring them at the front end of what you're telling them? If you're not, that's motivation enough. Okay, they're going to get motivated by hearing that you're excited about what you do, you're passionate about what you do, you love what you do, and that you're not going to do something crazy by taking everything they love away from them, right? So try to think about, try not to be the motivator. That's kind of your job while you're in the relationship, is to motivate, support, encourage, inspire, empower, all of those great words. But as far as motivation on the front end, before you even get into that part of having a relationship with them, it's really up to people to motivate themselves when it comes to this kind of thing, right? Okay, my glasses are super smudgy and I can't see. Sorry. Okay. So Brooklyn says, I have been an FD and health coach for a month and a half, no clients. I've had one free consultation who just wanted information, pretty sure. I know. I mean, it seems like they all do, right? Struggling to draw people in. So Brooklyn, go back and revisit that the training from last week, how to get your next 2 or 3 clients if you're struggling to draw them in. That was like almost 2 hours, I think. There's a whole video in the Institute trainings and the mentorship and mastery group as well. I think they're both plugged into there, but go back and look at that if you're struggling to pull people in. Hopefully this will help you tonight if you got that free consultation. I do want to say this, if you're a new coach and you haven't done any of these things, or you're just getting started, like if you go past a 15-20 minute mark, like don't kick yourself over it. I mean, it takes time to learn how to be a listener. It takes practice. It takes, just that ability to have confidence in yourself that you can sit in stillness and be in a space with someone and allow them to speak. So don't kick yourself if you go too long when you first get started in this process. I have had coaches ask me in the past, well, don't you feel like you're rushing them? Absolutely not, because I'm not being paid by them. I'm actually giving them, a gift by giving them 15 to 20 minutes of my time to hear them in the first place. So no, I do not feel like I'm rushing them, especially when you practice active listening, because you're simply just sitting there. You're saying things like, oh, wow, that sounds interesting. Oh, I've heard of that before. Wow. Things like that. Okay. It's just a conversation. So keep us posted, Brooklyn, on how that goes tonight. Okay. Lauren says, I feel like a lot of people don't take health coaching seriously. They're not willing to spend the money. And those are the people that you don't need to work with, because there are people out there that are willing to spend the money, that do take us seriously. I don't put any energy on those people that don't take us seriously or don't think we're valuable and don't want to spend money on us. I don't even think about them except when I'm talking to you guys about it. If someone were to say to me, oh, I can't even afford to eat organic, much less hire you, I'd be like, well, maybe someday. And then you move on. Okay. Don't try to convince people that you're worth the money. Don't try to convince them that their life is going to change if they work with you. Just don't. Be done with that. Move your energy and your thinking into the people that are out there ready and waiting for you. Set your intention, setting your intention on this kind of stuff can be really powerful. Shelly says, hi all, I am a health coach from Connecticut that graduated from IIN 2015. 2 current clients, need to take on more to make this my livelihood. I'm stuck in analysis paralysis. Well, Shelly, what are you paralyzed by? Like, put it in the comments. Tell us what you're paralyzed by so we can help move you through it. All right. Wally says, been coaching for 5 years. Seriously, for the last 2 years. I'm just going to guess on some of these with the typos, but very difficult moving people into free consultation from general conversation where they want to know how to improve their health. I offer free consultation to explore it further, but rarely does it manifest. Yeah, they're everywhere. You're right. So now you know. Okay. So here's what I'm going to suggest to you. And your names are getting, is it Wally? Yep, there it is. Okay. Zoom takes and gives me the first 3 letters of your names, you guys. I don't know why. So I'm guessing. So if I call you Joan and it's John, I'm sorry. But so here's what I would like you to consider doing. If you're in a general conversation with someone and it's all about health and they're like, oh, but my back's been hurting or my feet, and what do you do for that? The easy way for you to turn it, depending on the environment too. Now, if you're at a health conference or you're at a health event, yes, it's going to be health. But if you're at dinner and someone, you just met starts to tap you a little bit for information, you can say to them, and this is going to sound horrible, but you can say, oh man, back pain. Yeah, it can be a pain. It could be a pain, literally. Ugh, so many people struggle with that. And then eat an appetizer or get a drink of your water or whatever. You've got to be good at and learn how to be good at putting a stop to that. Stop the conversation when you're having it, when it's starting. Instead of getting knee deep in it and going down the rabbit hole, you've got to learn how to put a period on the end of the sentence or at the end of the question, if that makes any sense. Those free consultations will manifest if they can see that they cannot get anything further from you and if they care enough about their health. You've got to have a couple of ingredients there. They've got to care enough. They've got to know that you're not going to do it for free. Those are 2 ingredients to making this work. But if they think there's a possible chance of getting free information, or they think that they can just pull anything they want out of you, they're going to keep asking. So stop giving the message that you do this for free. Stop giving the message that it's okay, because it's not, unless you want it to be. You set those boundaries. I mean, my mom and dad are my clients, and I would help them every chance I get. Of course, they're my parents. I would never charge them to do that. But I may have some distant cousins and people like that may message me, and I may be like, yeah, I mean, I hate that, but here's a link to my website, right? Okay. Yeah, and Sherry's saying, not to mention, it's not fair to give free help to those who are actually paying for the service. That's true. That's absolutely true. Good point. There are people out there that are paying $475 a month or whatever, and for me to turn around and give it to free for someone just because they asked, it can seem unfair. However, I will say this. When we do pro bono work, when we offer that service out there, it isn't for free. We are asking for testimonials. We are asking for referrals. We are asking them to commit to themselves. So it's they're kind of exchanging pay for what we're giving them with other things. So that's just kind of a little disclaimer on that free thing. So I think this says Joan. I was having issues asking for what I'm worth, but a business coach helped me with it yesterday. She told me to read Proverbs 11:26, which says, "People curse the one who hoards grain. They pray God's blessing on the one who's willing to sell." Yeah. She said you were hoarding your grain and cheating my clients of their blessings. Yes, 100% believe that. And she's saying 100% commitment due to what they've invested in what I've sold. To do anything else is hoarding your grain. I agree with that. I agree. Even if you're not religious, that message holds true meaning. It truly does. You've got to honor yourself, right? You've got to. Lynn says, what kind of verbiage do you use on social media to get people on a free call with you? Well, first of all, they have to have a need. So find out what their need is, and then speak to it. So if someone puts something out in a group, let's just say someone says, I was diagnosed with colitis and I don't even know the first thing to do, and they're digging for information. What I would say is, for me, because I have worked with people with ulcerative colitis, I would say I've worked with quite a few ulcerative colitis clients, and be happy to talk to you about whether or not I can help you as well. Here's a link for scheduling, something like that. And I know you're not on right now, Lynn, but so use your experience or your knowledge to weave it into your conversations and into your responses on social media. So that lets them know, like, this is where you can go to find out more. Okay. So kind of moves them away from looking for more in the thread, but sends them out into the link to schedule a call with you. All right. I can't read the first part of the name here. My issues. I give all my information at once and overwhelm them. Yeah. So again, stop giving that message out. Stop giving the message that you're going to give them everything. And it's so hard. Like, I know how hard it is to hold it in. I honestly, I have such a difficult time if I see someone struggling with something and I know that I can help them make a different decision. It is so hard for me not to go, maybe this, right? But then I think about how valuable my time is and how much I value, the fact that I've built a business, and it's easier for me to move away. So think about yourself first. When those things come up and you feel like giving it all away, ask yourself this question before you launch into full-blown health coach on someone for free. Am I valuing myself by giving this information away right now? If you feel like you are, give it. If the answer to that is instinctively, gut instinct, no, then walk away from it. Okay. So again, it's the message. What message are you sending out there to people? So Wally says, I always tell them it's more complicated. We need an in-depth conversation on how to address it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then if they don't turn into a free call, then that's just not your client. So Stan says, I've been a bit too rigid and step-by-step than is necessary. Yeah, I mean, I think we all can get that way. Yes, I will give you copies of the presentation. I have to turn them into a PowerPoint slideshow because right now they're in a Mac format, but I will absolutely send that out to you guys. I'll get my team to send it in the replay. Let me write a note here. Here we go. All right. Okay, so let's see here. Anything else that you guys have questions about? So Shelly says, I'm stuck in this space. I don't have all the answers to their health. I'm going to go to the Q&A too. To their health concerns. I can't find potential clients due to feelings of inadequacy most of the time. Everything you're saying makes so much sense. I need to join your in 2018. Yay! You should join us. So here's the thing, Shelly. And I tell people all the time, you will never know it all. And the minute you think you do, it changes. No matter what it is. Health is always changing every single day. Right now, we're sitting on a training right now, and I can almost guarantee to you that something out there is changing about supplementation, time you should spend in the sun, grounding. I mean, name it, it's going to change. So you don't have to have all the answers to their health concerns just because they're asking you. First of all, in a free consultation, you don't have to have any answers because I've just told you not to give away everything like that. Second of all, remember when I talked about the intake form, how you send that ahead of time? Well, that intake form is going to give you everything you need to know about what's happening with them. And you can research that information before you have a first consultation or first session. So, and I'm looking over here because all your questions are over here, you guys. So when I'm not looking at your faces, that's why, because I'm reading. But so basically you get the intake form back. You can give them a turnaround time of 48 hours, a week, whatever. You schedule the time with them, but you have time to research that intake form, learn all about them. Settle that thought that you don't have all the answers by getting the questions and the answers ahead of time, okay? You're not inadequate, because if you are, then I am, and I don't feel inadequate. I don't know any more than you do about specific things. We're all learning as we go. And I truly believe that when you get a client, if they have a problem with something or something's wrong, and you've never heard of it before, I mean, you don't not work with them. At least I hope you guys don't not work with them. Don't turn them away. You would say something like, wow, this looks fascinating. I would love to learn more about dysphagia, whatever it may be, whatever the problem is. I'm having problems coming up with examples because I teach so much, everything seems to go back to the same example. But my point is this, is you can tell them straight up, you know, researching health is my passion. I absolutely love to learn new information. I'm going to dig into this and get us both some information that's going to make some sense, right? You don't have to know it. You're going to learn about that problem when you get the client. Why would you spend $10,000 and 6 months learning about the gut microbiome? Why would you do that when you know that if someone comes to you with a specific problem, you can go out and look it up on your reliable resources. You can find answers on this stuff simply by following the right people. Why would you spend time learning more about that particular thing? What if you learn everything there is to learn about, I don't know, Crohn's, and you take a course and you learn all that, and then you feel adequate in learning about Crohn's, but you never get a Crohn's client. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't want people not health coaching because they think they have to know more. You don't have to know more. You learn it as they come through. You know, they're your lesson. They're your education. Working with clients is education and training. Okay. How do I ask for pro bono clients? Via social media or other means? So I used to, before social media existed, I was working in my community, and I would say to some of my personal training clients or friends, I would say, I'm looking for 2 clients that may be struggling with, and it might be something I wanted to learn about, right? So I got one of those through through someone I had worked with that had Crohn's. She said, I have a friend that has this problem, but she doesn't have a lot of money. I'm like, great. I want to work with someone like that. She then referred her to me. I also asked people in my personal training groups, you know, is anybody dealing with hot flashes right now? I'm looking to learn more about hot flashes. I want to work with someone that's dealing with it. This is what the requirements of working with me are. I'm going to give you value and help you out. Boom, client pro bono, right? They sign all this stuff. They're treated as if they are a normal client, and I get my referrals and my testimonials. So that's kind of how I do it. And on social media, you can write a note. And I think I talked about this last week too, in the how to get 2 or 3 clients. I think I mentioned you can create a note in Facebook that goes out to all of your friends and family that says, you know, I am looking to work with someone for free who is ready to commit to their health. These are the things that are required. And then you can say, must send a testimonial, must sign a client agreement, and what you're going to offer them in return. And you're more than likely are going to get a friend or a family member that wants some help, or they're going to send it out to someone they know that's struggling with something. So that's another way you can go about doing it. All right. Amira says, had my free consult in 1.5 hours, did a workshop this weekend. 4 people showed up and 1 signed up for a free call. That's awesome. I've always been a good listener, sometimes to a fault. I have a hard time cutting people short when they start rambling. I know, I used to be that way too. I'm nervous about selling myself and my services since I haven't had a client with your method. Only 2 in the last 3 years. Well, you're gonna have a system now. So stress and anxiety seems to be this guy's biggest issue on the surface. I know I can help them. I'm not sure of how to show him the value of hiring me. Okay. Well, you're having a conversation. So first of all, you're showing him value because you're making yourself available for free to just let him walk through whatever's going on with him. If, you know, stress and anxiety seem to be his biggest problems, even though you don't have an intake form and you kind of know that on the front end, you know, a selling point for someone like this might be something like, you know, I'm a big believer that stress is at the forefront of most people's health problems. And I love to, you know, you can use my word. I don't care if you use my words or copy or whatever, but say to him, you know, I think talking about stress reduction and stress management can make people feel more stressed. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say you have to manage your stress, because the anxiety is probably coming from feeling stressed, right? But I am going to talk to you about how maybe we can help you see your stress a little bit differently. Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't see stress the same and that life just started to feel more settled down? Like, you can say things like that, but that's not you going, oh, you should get this book. This is a great way to do this. We're going to do this. You're going to say to him, you know, I've heard this. My experience has been this. Did you know this? Okay. But that's not giving him the answers. So I do also want to say to you, don't be nervous about selling yourself, because as I always say, you are the product, right? You're the product. Just because we are a person, I'm sure the person that made this coffee cup, right, for Christmas didn't go, oh, I'm so nervous about selling that coffee cup. It's cute, but I'm sure they weren't like, I wonder if someone will buy my coffee cup. They didn't make the coffee cup a big deal. You are the coffee cup, right? The coffee cup's cute. You have the knowledge. You are the coffee cup. You're the product. Do not be nervous about selling yourself. You have what it takes to help people. It's inside of you. You just have to solidly plant your feet and say, I'm going to help this guy. Game on. Give it to me. What can we do? Let's get him living healthier. Whatever you have to do to talk to yourself in your head and pump yourself up about this. I don't care if it's putting, using a dry erase marker and writing on your mirror, a message that you give yourself every single day that shifts the dynamic of your thinking. It could be something like something as simple as I am worthy of income, or I am good enough, or I already know enough. But I mean, when I was doing my first real launch with what's now the Institute, it was years ago when I created all the content and the stuff. It was in a course, actually. It was in CourseCraft years ago. It's evolved since then significantly. But I had a number in my head. I was feeling kind of doubtful. Like, I mean, what do I have that people are going to want? Da, 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 da. And I wrote a message on the board. I was like, I will make this amount of money and I will do this amount of sales by this date. And I read it every single day. And by God, I tripled the amount of money and tripled the amount of sales. I had to set my intention and my belief that it was going to happen. So when it comes to something that's doubt or fear or confidence related, it's just a story you're telling yourself. It's not true. It's not true at all. So change the story. I mean, truly, it sounds so simplified, but it is so simple. Change your story. No one else can do this for you. If this guy hires you today, it's going to give you a little bit of confidence, but the next time someone rolls through, are you going to want to go through all this again? Oh, now I'm nervous, but she has this problem and I don't think I can help her. No, you don't want to go through that. You're going to say, you know what? I knew I could help him. Even if he didn't want to hire me, that's his bad. I know I've got something for someone else. So I just really encourage you, Amir, to change the way that you're talking to yourself and the beliefs you have about yourself so that the abundance can come your way, because that's how it works. So Linda says, how much time do you generally spend on reviewing the intake form before you meet them the first time? Okay, so it used to take me about an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours when I first started. Now, keep in mind, this was a long time ago. And I created the form. So even though I created it, I had to get used to the idea that other people were filling it out and I was using it with them, right? But now it takes me about an hour. I can literally sometimes, if I'm pressed for time and someone's not super complicated, sorry, my dog just unplugged my computer. I can just fly by the seat of my pants with it. I don't even usually have to review it because I've been studying these forms and these diseases and problems for so long. I can hop on and do an intake probably without it. So I would say with practice, doing an intake form of 22 pages like the one I have, take about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes for a beginner, because you're not going to go over every single thing, right? You're going to go over the things that stand out. Someone says that they're unhappy or that they're perfectly happy in their relationship and life is great. And then later on down the line on the questions, you see that their spouse is sabotaging their success with their food. You can go back and kind of know that there's not the happiness factor probably isn't the truth, because you can see that further down the intake. The intake form is very specific to asking questions, to uncovering things that people probably don't want to talk about but need to. Do you have a form you use to narrow down specifics to address? Yes, that's what the intake form is for. It's all about digestion, autoimmunity, testing, antibodies, and relationships, stress, sleep, food. I mean, it's 22 pages of inquiry. So everything is covered in there. We talk about trauma, spirituality, everything. I try not to leave anything out because I want to see what's happening in people's lives. It's never just about the food. So Linda says, you always meet on the phone. I always meet on the phone for the free consultations. Absolutely. When I'm meeting clients now, I meet on Zoom or Skype or something like that. I don't go anywhere anymore to meet people. It's just, wow. so time consuming. The amount of time, the amount of money, and it just, don't do that anymore. It's too stressful. Linda says, I'm not so easy on the phone, much better in person. Then that's maybe where you need to be. Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to have an office space. I mean, I've got a home, I've got 2 offices. And back then I had a decent sized home too. I didn't want to rent an office space when I had a home that was big enough for me to, to do my work in. And so I just kind of moved it to an online practice, which worked for them too. A lot of times you're going to find that people are happier doing it this way because then they don't have to leave the home. They don't have to get a babysitter. They can hop on, at their lunch hour during work or whatever. So it just really works well to do something like this. Set it up in Zoom. They have a HIPAA compliant format. You can record it. So there's no he said, she said, it just seems to work better. And then she says, also, how much time are you personally devoting to intake forms? Again, on average before your first meet, hour and 10 minutes, maybe, at the very beginning of using these forms, hour and 45. But I just zip through them. And I'm a red pen girl. I would like to print them. Yes, I reuse my paper for those of you who are recycling conscious, but I like to print the forms and I like to go through it with a red pen and circle the things that are standing out to me. Like I was just talking about a girl who had said that her relationship was great and she was very happy, yet her husband kept bringing home food that was sabotaging what she was trying to do with her weight. That was a place I wanted to revisit. I also had someone that said she eats perfectly clean, that she doesn't eat anything that's bad for her. She knows her body doesn't react. And then I read later on down that she only uses the bathroom 3 times a week. I mean, the intake form uncovers so much information that you can dig into. And when you go through that intake form, which I probably should just do a whole training on the intake form, you are able to kind of pull out those questions and say to them, did you know, for example, the digestion girl, you say here that you have no problems with food and everything feels great, and but you only go to the bathroom 3 times a week. Did you know that anyone that doesn't use the bathroom every day is kind of considered as having constipation? And she was like, what? I'm like, yes, like that isn't normal. We eat 3 times a day, maybe more. We should be using the bathroom as many times as we're eating practically, right? So anyway, it pulls out those things that people really sometimes don't think about. So Joan says, I'm better by writing than verbally, but I'm working on my verbal communication. According to others, I feel I do fine explaining things to them verbally, so maybe it's just me. It could be because sometimes we can get tripped up on our words. I mean, I had a couple of words in the slide deck where I thought, like I couldn't get my tongue around them. And then also remember this, when we are talking to people in groups, classes, or one-on-ones or whatever, and getting a little bit nervous can cause us to feel like things aren't flowing like they are, and the person that's listening has no idea. So, you can practice, but practice with another coach if you want to. Kate says, my husband used to do the same thing. I finally got mean with him and called him out and he stopped. Yeah, the sabotaging thing for sure. Linda says, do a training on the intake form. I will. I will. I'll add that to my trainings. All I'm going to be doing in the next year really is trainings like this, like trying to dispel some of these myths, trying to get some of these health coaches that are out there talking about how they've been certified for 2-3 years and they're still not doing anything, doing something with it, because it is a viable business that deserves the attention and the credibility and all of that we need to give it. And so one thing I want to say is this is, if you are giving away everything for free and you haven't committed to actually asking for pay or making this your business, it's kind of like telling other people that health coaches do this for fun. So we want to get the word out that all health coaches deserve to make a good income doing this. And we want to help people, but we're also honoring ourselves as well. When we don't take money, it's kind of like this. When we don't take money for what we're giving to others, we're not practicing the self-care part. And that's kind of going against what we are telling other people to do. Like we're trying to help people practice self-care, honor themselves, take better care of themselves. But yet we are afraid to take money for what we do for a living, or we don't think that we're worth it, or we don't know enough. It doesn't make any sense. So keep that in mind, that if we're asking people to honor themselves and value themselves, we need to be doing the same thing for ourselves. And if that means taking money for what you do, then that's what it means. Overcome that mindset. I think a lot of it is mindset too, for sure. All right. Any other questions about the free consultation? I just want to push it home one last time, you guys, that if someone doesn't hire you, it's not because of you. Don't take it personally. Don't drag it around. Don't have a backpack on your back that's empty. And every time someone rejects working with you, you throw this 10-pound weight in your backpack and haul it around and worry about it. Okay. Don't do that. It has nothing to do with you. It's all about whether people are ready to commit to themselves. It's not about what you said on the call or should have said more of or anything like that. Okay. Just have confidence in the fact that you know what you're doing, you're ready. And those people that are ready to work with you are going to come to you as long as your mindset is right, as long as you have your business set up the way that feels good to you, and that you're confident in what you have to offer. Those are really the key ingredients. And confidence is the first thing. So, all right. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. I'll get the replay out for you. I'm going to get those slides turned into a PowerPoint deck that hopefully she can transfer in the replay. And I'll share that Practice Better link with you guys as well. It's a great format. And FYI real quick, for those of you who do have my intake forms and stuff like that, Practice Better is going to be able to put those in for you, so you don't have to manually do it. So when I did the training on Practice Better, remember how I was saying, she was saying you guys would have to type it in? You do not. They're going to import it for you guys. So if you're a student or a member of the mastery group and you have access to those forms, they are going to do it for us. So yay for that, right? So just wanted to give you a heads up on that as well. You will not have to recreate those forms. They're going to do it for us, which is huge. All right. Have a great rest of the day. And thanks for joining me, you guys. Super appreciate you being here. Thanks for your time.